Hi, it's Tim. Welcome back to the corner. Today we are back with the Amiga 1200 and we have three things to do. One is we are going to fit this floating point unit card 688888882. Also we are going to fit the hard drive that is in there and we're going to try and make that work and make it bootable. If we can't do that, I have got a compact flash interface and workbench card, official licensed copy. And the third thing that we have to do is try and fix this mouse, which totally does not work. So let's get to it. I'd like to thank PCBWay for sponsoring this video. PCBWay are manufacturers of printed circuit boards and we've been using them on the channel here to make various projects such as this and this. Now this is a shared project. It comes from their shared project section. The designer of a shared project gets a little bit of money every time somebody builds their project. This is a board that we designed on the channel and we built it through PCBWay's instant quote procedure. It cost $5 for 10 boards. They do a lot more than just making printed circuit boards. They do 3D printing and they do CNC machining and metalwork and a whole host of other things. Check them out, www.pcbway.com. We thank them for their PCBs. Now I've taken the lid off and of course the very first thing that I did was sliced my finger open on the shield. So don't do that. So this can come out. And I'll take the hard drive off the caddy. So that's 540 megabytes, 1048 cylinders, 16 heads. So this red stripe to pin 1, IDE adapter, okay, patent bit of green paper to obfuscate the serial number. That goes in the, oops, comes straight out. Right, okay, this is just a temporary thing. But we'll just put some post-it paper in there for now. That is going to insulate it. There we go, we don't need a disk in the drive. Plug in the power and let's see what happens. Hopefully this will boot. The hard disk light is flashing, so that's a good sign. And look at that. So 3.5 gigs free on the work partition, and this is the system partition. 496 megs free out of 500-ish. Well, that pretty much looks like it's working. Okay, excellent. So let us now turn our attention to this chap. We've got, I believe, 4 gigs of fast RAM and a 68882. How many 8s are there? 3 8s. So 68882, and that is presumably a ROM or some sort of control logic. This battery appears to be soldered to the contacts. Now I measured this and I only got 10 millivolts or so. So I think we're going to have to take that off and replace it with a regular coin holder battery cell, because I don't think that's going to have enough charge in it. Let's flip it over. I have actually printed, 3D printed a cover for it, for this, because this didn't come with a cover. And this is the same sort of bone white that I used for the Pi 1541, which is not a match for the actual case, but it's not too bad. I don't know if the reason that the hatch was missing is because this is too big and actually sticks out. Now I've got a fresh CR32 and a battery holder. So let's take the old battery off. Now the top side there is positive. Again, top side is positive. Double check CR2032. That's a BR2032, but it's still a 2032. So that side is positive, that side is negative. With any luck, that will just come straight out. There we go. So this only has 2 pins. Top side is positive, so it goes this way around. Ah. Now that's interesting. It's longer. It's not the same footprint. So I'm going to have to get a different one of those. But it doesn't matter. The battery will keep, and it wasn't working anyway, so we don't need to worry about that. Let's just put this in and see what happens. And of course, take your batteries to the disposal site. Don't just chuck them in the bin. Right, now, short connector, long connector. So that's got to go in like that. I'm not sure that that's in, so I'm going to turn it round and have a look. So that needs a good ramming. There we go. I don't know if there are drivers required for that card. There were none with the machine. Maybe it just auto detects. Let's find out. On with the power. Oh look, 2 megs graphics RAM, 3.909090 megs other RAM. Let's take a look at this mouse. Okay, it's got 1 screw. Nice long screw. Let's take the ball out. Okay, you have to be careful with that. It's got little clips there. There's obviously some hot glue sticking the cable down, and the hot glue has unglued. Okay. That's the sensor, or at least the mechanism, the mechanical mechanism. And this is the PCB. Then that just clips in. So I'm going to pull this hot glue off because I think we can just re-glue that. There's not a lot to go wrong with this. Let's just clean the board up and see if there's any cracked solder joints or anything. It could be that there's a problem with the cable. That green wire looks a bit iffy. But we'll check the continuity of that. I've put a 9-pin D connector onto the end of this just so that it makes it easier to prod the connections. And then I can go through, contact on there. There we go, 1. 2. I'm not sure if there's a resistor or something inside the wire, but there's not. There's about 46 ohms between that end and that end. Let's just plug this in quickly and see if it still doesn't work. Okay, and we'll switch the Amiga on. Okay, there it is. I just want to see if there's any movement at all. And there's pretty much not. Now this switch is definitely in the Amiga position. It could be this IC is faulty. I've cleaned the back of the board and looked at it under a magnifying glass. I can't see any cracked joints, but we could easily go over it with a soldering iron and see if that makes a difference. Okay, so I'm just sticking my finger between the diode and the receiver and monitoring. That's an input. And you see, if I block, let's do it with this piece of plastic. If I block the diode, that goes down. So that signal is coming in, and this is where it comes out. Oops. And that is definitely working. On the off chance I swapped out the electrolytic and the 74HC14, I wasn't really expecting anything to improve, and indeed it didn't. To be honest, I suspect that it's the cable that is defunct. Well, I don't have another cable, so replace that and replace that. It could be these. Don't know. Probably not worth the effort. I have got other mice. I've taken apart this tank mouse, which I know is working, and you can see it's pretty similar on the inside to the other mouse. We can just check that what the connections are like. So let me bring in the beeper. Then we'll just go from pin 1 okay, and that's 0. So that really just proves that the problem with the other mouse is in fact the cable. So while this is out, I think we can see it's really quite grotty. I shall give that a good clean before I put it back together, and the case itself I think could do with a clean. So I shall do that. I've cleaned most of that, at least the mechanism, the rollers and so on, and that was absolutely filthy. Now I've cleaned half the ball just so that you can see the difference. Filthy. I shall keep going with the case now. It took me a while to find a battery holder that would actually fit in this PCB, because the old battery, and I'll just get it, is actually a BR2032 rather than a CR2032. Now they are the same size, but the difference is that the BR2032 is a long life battery, so this is rated for something like 7 years. It's also directly soldered to the board, and the distance between the pins is actually shorter than on pretty much every single battery holder. And even this will only fit one way round. It won't fit directly, it will only fit actually that way around, like that. I soldered it in. You didn't really need to see me do that, and now it's time to put in a new battery. There it goes. So that should be our battery backed up clock, battery backed up. Exciting, eh? So I thought it would be interesting to run some benchmarks, and for that I'm using AIBB, Amiga Intuition based benchmarks, which has the advantage that it does some floating point stuff. So as you can see, this is the stock Amiga 1200, 68EC020, no FPU, no MMU, clock 14 MHz, and I'll just run the beach ball test, which really is just to show you that this is an entirely stock system. There you go, it took 306 seconds, which is what, about 5 minutes, and it is almost exactly 1.0 times the speed of a 68020 based Amiga 1200, which is not surprising because it is a 68020 based Amiga 1200. So we can run various tests and it will show that this is exactly the same speed as a 68020 based A1200, and we are not surprised. So what I'll do now is I will put the accelerator card in, which is a 68888882, and then we will see what a difference it makes. The card is in, so let us switch it back on. I have a Gotek drive attached to the external floppy port. That's what I've been using to put on software. Processor 68020, 6882, FPU. And we have Kickstart 39. RAM, we have fast RAM 4 megs, chip RAM 2 megs. Board is a RAM board, unidentified, at 4 megs of RAM. Okay. This is AIB running off the Gotek. Okay, so it's told us we've got a 68020 and it's recognised the FPU. So let us do the beach ball test again and see what a difference it makes. This of course is ray traced rendering, and so it's going to have a lot of floating point calculations. So that was a lot quicker. That was done in 177 seconds. CPU clock 14.3 MHz, FPU clock 14.3 MHz. So it's about 1.7 times as fast as the stock A1200. So that gives us nearly a doubling of the speed of the machine in floating point operations. So that's more or less it for this machine. All that needs to be done now is to put it back together and put the screws in. Come the summer we'll retrobrite it, I think, but that's not going to happen really until then, until we've got some nice dry sunny weather to actually do it in. Now since I put the compact flash card in here, Workbench 3.2.2 has been released, and if you're interested in seeing that put into this machine, please drop a comment into the section below. It would be an opportunity to upgrade the Kickstart ROMs at the same time. Otherwise, this machine I think is going to go into service as the general purpose Amiga 1200 that we're going to be using on the channel. You will be seeing it again in any case. And all that remains for me to do now is to say thank you for watching, and please do all the YouTubey stuff like subscribe, comment in the section below, and here are some more videos for you to have a look at. So see you next time. See ya. Bye.